Welcome back to Afternoon Live. The news of the rapidly spreading respiratory illnesses among dogs has pet owners on edge. So here with important information on how to prevent the disease and what to do if your dog shows symptoms, we welcome back veterinarian Dr. Cherice Roth. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Okay, so first things first, we shouldn't panic or freak out just
yet,
right?
No panic necessary.
It's going to be okay.
It really is going to be okay. You know, in a lot of, as diseases throughout history, new things come up, old ones go away. This is the natural order of things.
We learn,
it will be okay.
We adapt.
That's what it is. And you have to let the science catch up.
Sure. So let's start with sort of geographically where this is happening, because it's happening in a lot of different regions in the U.S. right now.
Yeah, so far this kind of mysterious illness has been reported in about 16 states. And, and they're not all kind of closely connected. And so it really is a bit of everywhere, which kind of leads you to believe that maybe it's more widespread than we think it is, but we just don't really have the name for this particular illness yet. So
what people report are symptoms that are very similar to kennel cough.
Yes.
Which is part of the problem, right?
That's right. And so a lot of people, well, we now use the term canine infectious respiratory disease complex because it can be bacterial, it can be viral, and they all kind of look the same.
Really?
But for kennel cough in particular, the Bordetella bacteria, you can actually vaccinate your pet for that. And so that's part of what we highly recommend doing. And not necessarily that we think it's a Bordetella illness.
Right.
But you don't want any opportunistic infections happening either. So let's say you happen to get this weird respiratory bug. You don't want Bordetella to sneak in there and make the pneumonia worse or make the respiratory signs a lot worse.
So the current illness, kind of the mystery one that we're seeing right now, can be more resistant to the standard treatments like you would offer in a kennel cough situation?
Yeah, so a lot of times for actual kennel cough, when they've tested positive for Bordetella bacteria, we will put them on antibiotics. We are also just, as humans now, a lot more careful about when we choose to use antibiotics, right? Because of because of antibiotic resistance. And so we really do, what I urge people to do is allow your veterinarian to do diagnostics first, if at all possible. Don't wait until the second or third time you're coming in if your pet's not getting better, because we may not be able to get ahead of it. So doing a respiratory swab is painless for your pet. It's annoying. We swab the back of the throat, we swab the inside of the nose, and we send that sample off. And that'll give us an idea of what bacteria we're dealing with, what virus we're dealing with. And then if none of those are positive, then it kind of backs us into the diagnosis of, okay, this is kind of the weird one, and we would treat symptomatically and just support your pet through it.
Okay, and let's talk about how this spreads. What do we need to be aware of, or maybe certain situations to keep the dogs out of for now?
Yeah, since we don't really know which bug it is, it's kind of hard to say. But using good sense, right? So most respiratory issues are going to be spread by droplet. And so this is your pet going to a place that is highly populated, dense with dogs, right? So dog parks, kenneling facilities, boarding facilities, doggy daycares, those are the places that you really want to just double check of what their cleaning process is. These people are professionals. They are upping their contact time for any of their cleaning materials and those sorts of things. So I don't want it to negatively impact their business, but that is something that you do have to think about or inquire. Ask, hey, what are you doing? To make sure that our pups don't get sick. And I think that that's a fair question.
That's a great place to start. So let's talk about kind of the mystery again of where this is all coming from. The agent that's causing it, that's sort of the underlying issue that we haven't quite nailed down yet.
Yeah, we're waiting for the science to catch up, right? It could be that it's a bug that we already know. That's changed a little bit. And so we're unsure at this point if it's viral, if it's a bacterium. There are lots of viruses and lots of bacteria that can cause respiratory illnesses, much like in people when we say we have a cold. Can be any number of things causing it. And so we're waiting for the science to catch up, and as that happens, we'll find less ways to panic as well. So it just takes a little bit more time for us to nail down the diagnostics that we need in order to be sure of what we're actually dealing with.
And you mentioned earlier that early diagnostic testing, but also just some preventative things that we can all do each and every day to make sure we're keeping our pets as safe as possible.
Yeah, so I'm not a fan of pups being at dog parks, especially during this time. They're kind of nasty places anyway, a lot of them. You don't want your dogs drinking out of the same bowls as other dogs, so bring your own bowl, bring your own water. Again, any of those places that normally have a large number of dogs congregating, you'll want to watch out for that. Outside of that, nose-to-nose contact with other dogs that they don't know is also something that I recommend avoiding until we know more.
Yeah, okay. Are you playing counselor right now? Are you and your veterinary colleagues kind of calming everyone down?
Yeah, you know, this isn't the first time,
Yeah.
right? And again, you wait for the science to catch up. By nature, by our training, we are public health officers, right? And so that means that we're keeping an eye out for your health, we're keeping an eye out for animal health, and we know that these are things that are going to come and go. And so
Yeah.
we're all pretty calm about it. We're curious.
Sure.
It's kind of this perfect mix of like, oh, this is really terrible, but oh man, I can't wait to see science
Sure.
do the science
Yeah,
thing, right?
exactly.
And so there's a bit of excitement of like, what is this going to be?
Yeah.
How can we help best? And man, science is just so cool.
Because we are going to learn, and we're going to get better and have more treatments and options moving forward as we learn more.
That's right.
Tell me about what you're seeing in terms of recovery right now for these pups that do have sort of the more severe illness. What does the prognosis look like for them moving forward?
Yeah, it varies wildly. A lot of it
Okay.
is based on age. So is
Yeah.
it an older pup? Do they have other issues going on with
Yeah.
them? Do they already have respiratory compromise or cardiac compromise? Those dogs take longer and are more likely to turn into pneumonia.
Okay.
For the younger pups, as long as they're well vaccinated, they
Right.
seem to be coming out of it within 4 to 6 weeks, which
Okay.
is long
It is
for
long,
a respiratory
yeah.
issue. And most of the time, the lingering part of it is more of just that lingering cough.
Sure.
And so those are things that you'll want to watch out for, especially if you have an older pup. Again, getting those diagnostics done the first time something doesn't seem right is really the way to go, because it helps us to send off the right alarm bells
Yeah.
and how aggressive we need to be in the supportive
And
care.
more good reason to make sure that you're fully up to date on all the other vaccines to
Yes.
prevent as much as we can.
That's exactly right.
Hey, great to see you. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
stopping
my
by. This was
pleasure.
good timing to talk about this.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll have more information on our website at katu.com, and we'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.